The Garmin inReach has been a staple in the backpacking and hiking world for a long time now, but next year this is going to be essentially worthless. If you haven't heard the recent news, Elon Musk and T-Mobile have partnered up to essentially create no dead zone cell phone coverage. Now, obviously this would just apply in the United States, but I'm sure there would be carriers like TELUS in Canada, or one of the other ones, Rogers, and all across the world, other carriers will be working with SpaceX and their new satellites they're launching next year. See, SpaceX is building some advanced satellites with extremely long antenna that work with the mid-band frequencies on your current cell phone. So you're not going to need a new cell phone. And since there's companies like T-Mobile who've just signed a deal with SpaceX, essentially if you have what they call popular cell phone plans, your cell phone will work anywhere around Earth. Now, this is something they said they're rolling out next year, and what exactly are the limitations of this? You can't just be streaming Wi-Fi out in the middle of the Rocky Mountain National Park, but it will essentially make this inReach useless. So first off, this global space satellite network will be able to cover anywhere on Earth, they say, and it'll have up to 2 to 4 megabits per second, which will basically, as Elon said, will allow you to send thousands of text messages, you can send pictures, you can make phone calls, and all in this when you get kind of out of the main network range. So it'll be just like anything else. If you're in a 4G, 5G Wi-Fi area, you go out of town, it drops down to 3G. If you're in a really rural area, it's like 2G, really slow, but you can still have barely any connection. And from there, I think it would just drop down to one lower connection where you can basically just do text messages, calls, and maybe send a picture or two. He did say that if there's not many people on that network or that satellite, then you would potentially be able to stream video. The point being is if you're deep in the woods, like around where I live here, there's tons of dead zones. Heck, there's even a dead zone. So if we look at this map here, this is the T-Mobile map where I live on Vancouver Island here. If you drive, there's 2 to 3 million people a year drive from Parksville through Port Alberni over to Tofino. So this zone here, despite this showing purple, it's actually a dead zone from the middle of Sprout Lake right here all the way to there. So you don't actually get coverage in all these areas. I don't know why they say there's coverage, because there definitely is not. If your car breaks down here, like say if you're a mom and 2 kids, like that's not a good place to be. So it's a pretty, dangerous place to have no connection. I don't know why our government has not done anything about that, considering how many people drive through there. But with this new connection, you would just pull up your phone, you can call BCAA and, straight from Port Alberni, and they drive out, pick up your car. They just drive it back to the repair shop and fix your car, no problem. And same goes for anywhere around here. So like on Vancouver Island here, I go hiking in all these different areas and there's no cell connection anywhere. And so for that reason, I always carry my inReach with me, and all my friends have an inReach. And see, the problem with this thing, now let's talk about the comparable differences here. So this costs like $450. You're paying like $19 a month for this thing. And all this lets me do is I can push the SOS button to get the chopper to come save me. And I can also send text messages, and you can have pre-programmed messages you can send to people. It's really not that intuitive. It's a real pain in the butt to actually type a message and send it. You can't talk on the phone. You can't actually talk to someone. And if you're really struggling and say you're about to pass out in 2 minutes, you can't sit there and text. You just have to push the button and have someone show up. Now, if we compare that to just having my cell phone and using this to call for help, first off, I don't have to have the inReach with me anymore, which for you gram counters out there weighs 100 grams, so you no longer have to carry that weight. And the cell phone is always with me. I can just pick it up. I can actually call and talk to someone. You just dial 911 versus pushing the old crap button, the SOS button on the side of this. And you just talk to someone, hey, I'm, whatever, on Mount Albert Edward, I broke my leg, I need some help, where are you? There's this, big opening over here, you can definitely land a chopper, get a line down to me, there isn't trees in the way. Like, it's easy to talk to someone, especially if you're about to pass out. So, like, there's definitely a lot of benefits to just be doing this with your cell phone versus having to use the inReach. The only real benefit I can see for the inReach is there's one button, you can just push the SOS button, and then you would immediately have that sent out for help. You don't actually have to dial anything. And the other thing too is when you turn this on, it tracks you. So as you're going through the woods, there would be a trail of where you went. Now, I'm sure there's going to be an app, or maybe there's already an app, where you can track yourself and have like a loved one see or know where that track is. I've never done that before. Obviously I live alone, so I don't do that. But I'm sure that already exists. So you're kind of like, there's just only benefits to this happening. And when it comes down to it, most hikers are not hiking with an inReach. Unless people get really serious, they're not going to get one of these. So you end up with those cases like in Arizona. I think there's a family that got lost on the backside of a mountain. They didn't bring enough water, and then they died back there, because they did try to call for help numerous times, and their signal just never got to a cell tower to get help, and they didn't have an inReach with them. And in the case of backpackers, obviously road trips and just people breaking down in weird places, there's lots of dead zones around here. So now looking at this, there is one main downside to this whole SpaceX global network, and it's that a lot of people, including myself, when you get into the deep backcountry, we're talking you get off the main trail, maybe there is no trail, you're bushwhacking or some old trail that no one goes back there, and you're really far back, 20 kilometers back in the middle of nowhere, there's no cell coverage. It's such a relieving and nice, wonderful, like rejuvenating experience knowing that no one can call you, you can't call for help, you're all on your own. It's all about just you and nature and getting reconnected back to the world. It's such a wonderful feeling, and taking that away, I feel is like, it's a little terrifying. It's almost like I want to get out backpacking right now just so I can go experience that, because I know there's gonna be a day where it's like, oh, you can just pull up TikTok in the woods. And granted, I don't think TikTok would really work that well, but you could definitely load up your whatever Facebook and it would slowly load, or you could load up your text messages or whatever. And it's just, a certain point, like, we don't want to be connected. We want to be disconnected. Now, sure, you're gonna shut off your phone, but there's that feeling that like, oh, I can't actually connect. I'm just so far back in the woods, I can't connect, and I like that feeling. So I'm sure a bunch of you are like that primal, return to primal kind of feeling. That's the only downside to this I can see. There's really everything else is a benefit. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you're thinking about this. It's definitely going to shake up the backpacking hiking community, let alone there's whole other aspects to this. So share your thoughts down below. Be sure to subscribe, and until next one, have a great day.